They told my brother, "Your sister doesn't deserve a dime." And they said it while I was standing just one room away. Hi, I'm Rowan Bishop. The daughter they tried to erase, the girl they thought would walk away quietly. But I didn't walk, I rebuilt. I rewrote the ending they planned without me. Have you ever found out your own family was plotting to cut you out of everything, and smiled anyway because you had a bigger plan? If your inheritance, your dignity, and your name were on the line, what would you do? Now, let's rewind to the moment they made their first and final mistake. She doesn't deserve a dime. I stopped mid-step, one breath short of entering my father's office. That sentence, flat, sharp, certain, froze me in place. I leaned closer to the doorframe, barely breathing. She's out, Dad continued. The trust gets split between us. No need to tell her. Just say it was closed. Sawyer laughed. Finally. She was always a dead weight. And then, like poison icing the blade, Mom's voice joined in. It's for the best. She'd waste it. I didn't push the door open. I didn't scream. I walked past the family portrait in the hall, my image faintly faded where light had hit only my part. Past the kitchen, where Sawyer had just polished off cereal like a child emperor. Past Marlene's smug reflection in the microwave, humming like she'd already won. I enter my room, shut the door, and open my laptop. I moved every cent I had into a private account, one I'd created last year when things first started feeling wrong. I locked the old accounts and deactivated notifications they could trace. Then I went to the drawer. Grandma's drawer. Behind old scarves and a Bible with her handwriting in the margins, I found the flash drive and the sealed letter. Her script was shaky but unmistakable. Rowan, blood doesn't make them worthy. If they've shut you out, take what's yours. Trust your rage. It will save you. My chest tightened. I sat back on the floor, her voice echoing in my head. No tears. Just a growing heat in my veins. Slow, focused fury. I rose, turned off my lamp, and stared into the hallway mirror. My reflection looked the same, but something behind my eyes had shifted. This wasn't grief anymore. This was strategy. Before sleeping, I logged into the legacy trust Grandma had mentioned just once in a hospital whisper. It was still active, still full, and still under my access, buried under layers of silence. I froze every related account, blocked secondary users, changed every recovery method. Then I typed a single message to Janelle Ruiz, the lawyer Grandma always trusted more than her own son. I'm ready to claim what's mine. You erased me from the will? Good. You just made room for a new one. The scent hit me first, lavender, faint but still clinging to the walls like memory. I stepped into Grandma's old apartment, the place I had spent countless nights helping her breathe easier, easing her into sleep when her bones betrayed her. Dust coated everything now, but nothing had moved. She'd kept everything in place for a reason. At the edge of her desk sat the envelope she'd promised would matter one day. I opened it. Inside, the original amended will, her initials still visible in bold pen. The flash drive was taped to the bottom. I didn't hesitate. That afternoon, I met Janelle Ruiz at her law office. She didn't ask questions, just took one look at the documents and plugged in the drive. She really didn't trust them, Janelle said, scrolling. This is airtight. She called her assistant in. We start filing today. Full injunction. Probate freeze. I want the court date request in by 9 a.m. While she worked, I texted Micah. Track every account Sawyer touches. I want alerts on anything over $1,000. He replied instantly. Already on it. And your brother's dumb. Company card at a poker bar. Again. By evening, I was seated across from my entire family at the dining table. Marlene had lit the fancy candles. Harlan wore his best watch. Sawyer laughed too loud at nothing. I sat silent, eyes steady. They thought I didn't know. They still played pretend. Halfway through Marlene's story about her new fundraiser gala, I reached into my bag and placed the folder on the table, slow, deliberate. "What's that?" Harlan asked. I didn't answer. I stood and walked away. Behind me, silence. Sawyer's phone buzzed minutes later. He stared at the screen like it slapped him. Marlene leaned over. "What is it?" He didn't answer. Later that night, as I sipped tea in my room, a single line popped up in our old family group chat. From Sawyer. "Account access temporarily restricted due to legal inquiry." I took another sip and smiled. "Checkmate," I whispered. "You called me a burden? Now I'm the boss." The smell of burnt toast was the only thing real about that morning. Marlene hummed softly as she stirred her tea. Harlan flipped through the financial section like a man in control. Sawyer scrolled, smirking at something on his phone. They were playing their parts in the family farce, calm, collected, completely unaware the script was about to flip. I entered the kitchen in silence, folder in hand. Sawyer looked up first. "Someone's up early." I didn't answer. I sat down, placed the folder on the table, and slid it toward the center. "What's this?" Harlan asked. "Correction," I said. "Of your mistake." He opened the folder. His face twitched before he covered it with disdain. "This isn't valid." Marlene leaned over, eyes narrowing. "Where did you get this?" "From the woman you tried to erase," I said. "And she left me a voice too." I pulled out my phone and tapped play. Grandma's voice echoed through the kitchen. "If they twist my words, play them this. I trust Rowan. I trust only her." Silence. Then chaos. "This is fake," Harlan roared, slamming his palm on the table. Marlene's cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the tile. "You're twisting this, Rowan." Sawyer lunged for the papers, but I blocked him. "Touch it, and I'll make sure the fraud charges include obstruction." His face twisted. "You think this will stand in court?" "It already does," I said. "And the court will receive formal notice this week." I pulled out another document, bank confirmations, transaction flags, a full freeze order. Harlan's name in bold. Sawyer's too. The accounts. Marlene whispered. "Gone," I replied. "Transferred. Sealed. And one more thing." I laid down the company ownership sheet. "I now hold 51% of Bishop Capital." Harlan's jaw locked. Marlene looked like she might faint. Sawyer cursed under his breath. I stood, gathering my things with precision. "Pack your pride," I said, pausing at the doorway. "The board meeting's tomorrow. I'll be at the head." And then I walked out, the sound of the toaster clicking behind me like a countdown to detonation. I'm not here to negotiate. I'm here to correct the record. The boardroom felt colder than usual. Maybe it was the light, sharp, sterile, or maybe it was the fact that I was sitting in the chair my father once called his throne. Bishop Capital's bloodline seat. Mine now. The board murmured when I entered alone, but no one stopped me. Not even Thomas, who raised an eyebrow and glanced at the empty chair next to me. I placed the folder in front of me and waited. Sawyer stormed in 5 minutes later, eyes red, tie crooked. "You can't be serious." I didn't look at him. "Sit down." Then came Harlan, composed but slower than usual. He froze at the sight of me at the head his seat. "This is a joke," he said. "No," I replied, unfolding the first document. "This is legal recognition of my 51% controlling stake in Bishop Capital." I handed it to Thomas, who began reading. One by one, the others leaned in. Harlan remained standing. Sawyer sat, fists clenched. "You've never run a company," Sawyer spat. "You don't know what this takes." "You mean like siphoning funds into your gambling debts?" I slid the next file across the table. Page 4. Vegas. Poker rooms. All charged to the company card. Gasps broke out. One board member leaned in, whispering, "You think you can embarrass me?" Sawyer snapped. "I don't need to embarrass you," I said calmly. "You did that all on your own." Harlan moved to grab the file, but Thomas raised a hand. Let her speak. I stood. Effective immediately. All transactions exceeding $10,000 require my approval. Sawyer, you're suspended pending review. Harlan, you're relieved of executive authority. The silence was thick. I looked each board member in the eye. This isn't a takeover. This is a correction. Sawyer dropped his pen. It clattered loud against the table. Harlan stepped back, speechless. My phone buzzed in my jacket. A message from Micah. Check this out. Marlene's shell company just popped up in Panama. My lips curved, just slightly. We weren't done yet. If you think silence protects you, then you've never met the truth with a microphone. The courtroom was silent. Not the respectful kind. This was tension disguised as quiet. I could feel every eye, every breath held too long. Reporters lined the back. Marlene sat poised in ivory like she was attending a garden brunch. Harlan clenched his jaw. Sawyer stared at the ceiling like boredom could mask guilt. I took the stand. My name is Rowan Bishop, I began. And everything they built was on my silence. Janelle stood beside me, her presence sharp, immovable. We're submitting evidence of forged documents, she said, handing the file to the clerk, including a wire transfer request signed with a forged version of the decedent's signature, 2 weeks after her death. Gasps. Cameras clicked. Marlene flinched. I tapped my phone. Grandma's voice echoed again through the courtroom. If they try to silence you, don't let them. You are the truth now. Marlene dabbed fake tears. We were protecting her from herself. She was fragile, too trusting. Janelle leaned in, eyes like steel. You mean trusting enough to give you power of attorney over assets you redirected to your son's poker debt? Sawyer flinched. The judge turned. Mr. Bishop, explain the activity in the Golden Sun Ventures account. Sawyer stammered. I didn't know the full scope. Mom set that up. Marlene turned sharply. Don't you blame me. Harlan stood. Your Honor. Sit down. The judge snapped. You speak again out of turn, and I'll hold you in contempt. I looked at all three of them, once so powerful, now reduced to infighting in open court. Janelle raised the final document. We request a permanent financial ban on Marlene and Harlan Bishop and restitution from Sawyer Bishop for fraud and misuse of corporate funds. Silence. Outside, reporters scrambled to file their updates. Inside, the judge said, I will issue my decision tomorrow morning. As we stood to leave, I caught Marlene whisper to Harlan, voice shaking. She's killing us legally. I didn't look back. She was right. They tried to cut me out. Instead, they revealed I was the root. The courtroom smelled like old wood and paper, like finality. The judge's voice rang out, clear, final. Restitution from Mr. Sawyer Bishop for misuse of corporate funds is granted. Permanent financial disqualification for Harlan and Marlene Bishop from all fiduciary positions. Gasps. Cameras flashed. I stood still. Micah was waiting outside. You did it, he whispered as the crowd swirled around us. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Later, I stepped through the iron gate of the lake house, my lake house now. Sunlight poured through the windows, just as Grandma liked it. The silence was warm, not hollow. That afternoon, Marlene texted. Just one word. Garden. I found her waiting on the stone bench behind Grandma's church. White dress, white lie. We were trying to protect the legacy, she said. No, I replied. You were protecting control. Her smile cracked, but she didn't fight back. For once, I thought you'd hate me forever. This wasn't vengeance, I said softly. This was restoration. As I walked through the company's main hallway later that day, I passed the framed portrait of the old board, the one where I used to be absent. It had already been replaced. In its place was a new photo, me at the head of the table, with Grandma's quote etched below, "Build with truth, not with fear." A young employee in the lobby turned to her colleague and whispered, "Is it true she took down her whole family?" I smiled.
No.
I just revealed who they were. That night, I sat in my new office. The brass plaque read, CEO, Rowan Bishop. I signed the final order, dissolving every shell company they'd hidden money through. One by one, the shadows were deleted. Micah entered, holding coffee.
He didn't speak.
Just handed it to me, with a nod only we understood. I opened Grandma's old notebook. Found the line I'd marked months ago. Sometimes blood must be drained for the body to heal. I stepped out onto the balcony of her old room. The lake below shimmered like something sacred. Wind played with my hair, but for once, I didn't feel moved by chaos. "Let's build something real this time," I whispered. And I meant every word.